Welcome to Beatsource Tech. My name is Mojaxx, and on this episode we're looking back over the past 12 months in the world of DJ technology, but we're also looking forward because 2024 has the potential to be one of the most impactful and momentous years in the DJ equipment industry that we've ever seen. I went back and watched my 2022 wrap-up to remind myself of where we were at the start of the year, and I've concluded that 2023 has definitely been more interesting, but in some unexpected ways. Before we even get to tech, we must talk business. The announcement in July that AlphaTheta, the parent company of Pioneer DJ, intended to acquire Serato was undoubtedly the biggest story of the year. At the time of making this video, it hasn't fully gone through yet, although there's one big step which is about to take place. The decision to approve or not approve the merger by the New Zealand Commerce Commission was originally due to be made on December the 6th, but it was put back until the 22nd. As Serato is a New Zealand-based company, this approval is essential if the deal is to proceed. I wanted to wait until the decision was made before producing this video, but my holiday schedule won't allow that, so I guess I'll be joining you all in the comments to discuss it later. There are lots of documents available to be viewed on the Commission's website, and it all makes for interesting reading. There's a lot to get through. AlphaTheta's original submission is 58 pages long alone. We'll drop links in the description if you fancy some holiday homework. What's really interesting is the responses, and in particular the one from InMusic. In it, they articulate a lot of the concerns that many people have about the deal, primarily that it will have an impact on how other hardware manufacturers are able to compete with Pioneer DJ when it comes to products designed around Serato software, leading to AlphaTheta's already dominant market share becoming even more so. And I do get that. Although AlphaTheta do take steps to address those concerns in the proposal, at the very least I'd expect there to be some kind of chilling effect for some companies, like say Reloop and Roland. As Phil Morse puts it, they'd effectively be negotiating with a competitor to license software for their products, and I have to agree that's kind of weird. But whilst we haven't heard from other companies, it seems like InMusic have really taken issue with the whole idea. Here's the concluding paragraph from their submission. If the proposed acquisition is permitted, with great reluctance and disappointment, InMusic will be left with no choice but to shutter its New Zealand operations and retreat from the DJ market altogether. The proposed acquisition will lessen competition by foreclosing DJ hardware competitors from partnering with Serato, thereby increasing AlphaTheta's already dominant market share in hardware. AlphaTheta will also control a dominant share of the DJ software market. Now, I don't know if I'm supposed to read all that as in New Zealand only, or if they mean on a global scale. Obviously there's a big difference between the two, but either way, InMusic are saying if this goes through, we're taking our toys and going home. And that's why all of this is so momentous. If the deal does go through and what they're saying isn't hyperbole, then we could see a massive change to how InMusic does business, for the worse as far as DJs are concerned. But on the flip side, if the approval doesn't happen and InMusic's stance is widely seen as being a contributor to that, I can't imagine that Serato, remaining an independent company, would want to do that much business with those who they will see as being to blame for blowing their massive deal. I guess it is a little strange to me that it's InMusic who are so vocal here, as they are the company best placed to pivot to other software if needed. Their own engine DJ has huge potential in my eyes if they chose to expand its capabilities. But InMusic have decided to go fully scorched earth here from what I see, and whatever goes down next, the DJ market is going to look very different by the end of 2024. Watch this space. With that out of the way, let's get into the gear that we saw this year. I'll start with a holdover from 2022, the Reloop Mixon 8 Pro. It took an awfully long time to arrive, but when it did, I was impressed. In spite of a few quirks, I believe it's their best controller to date. Not only is it a very capable Serato controller, but it's also, I believe, the only native controller for Algorithm's DJ Pro, which was released this year. And we should talk about the new version of that, DJ Pro 5, which just dropped a few weeks ago. After innovating with stems a few years back, the quality of Algorithm's neural mix had fallen behind the competition, but thanks to a partnership with AudioShake, version 5 put them right back in the game. It also includes the best automatic beat grid detection I've ever seen by a wide margin, and their new crossfader fusion tech. With all the new features working the same on both Macs and iOS, DJ 5 is a seriously impressive offering, and is potentially good enough to make me want to switch to it, if they can just expand their hardware compatibility a little more. After years of, let's be blunt, neglect, Traktor from Native Instruments continued to make steady progress this year. There weren't too many upgrades to the software itself, but a significant overhaul to their most iconic piece of hardware, a Mark III version of the Control X1, served as a statement of intent to some degree. If they can work through more of the software features on the roadmap they published a while ago in 2024, then next year looks pretty bright for Traktor users. I've already mentioned InMusic, and their brands have had a fairly slow year in terms of new hardware releases. Numark only dropped one really new product, the Mixstream Pro Go, which took affordable embedded engine OS in a truly portable direction, featuring both speakers and a battery. It's a staple fixture in my studio, being so convenient to use, and it offers fantastic value. There was one other Engine OS powered release, the Denon DJ PRIME 4 Plus. This was largely just a cosmetic overhaul of the original PRIME 4, but it did promise one significant new feature, real-time stem separation, for the first time anywhere on standalone hardware. At this point, that feature is still in public beta, and there's no clue as to when it will be getting a full release, but I'll keep you posted when it does. Speaking of Engine OS, I always look back over the year and find myself amazed at how far it progresses every 12 months. Some of the highlights from their multiple updates in 2023 include touchscreen effects, a track match function, day mode, all new main effects, and a drop sample player. Combine that with a load of significant updates to Sound Switch, and that whole engine ecosystem just keeps chugging along very nicely indeed. The other InMusic DJ brand, Rane, has been pretty quiet. They dropped the 4 at the start of the year, which was a massive release, but we've had nothing since. I still thoroughly recommend the 4. It's a big beast of a controller, but contains a lot of advanced features, particularly in the area of Serato stems, and it feels great to use. On the subject of Serato, the release of their stems was big news in the back half of 2022, and 2023 has mostly seen them refining the quality and ways of interacting with those, as opposed to making any big new changes to the software. And whilst I'm all about using Serato stems in my performances these days, I'm still hoping to see some improvements in areas like effects and library management next year. Fingers crossed for that. It's been a bumper year for Rotary mixer fans, with what seems to me to have been a record number of new releases hitting the market. I've been lucky enough to have reviewed many of them, from the budget Headliner R2 to more boutique options from Henderson, Master Sounds and Resor. And let's not forget the Eckler Warm 4, which sat somewhere between those two pillars and had some really innovative features on board. The reasons for the growth in this category of product are unclear, but here are my guesses. Firstly, social media means that more DJs are seeing that kind of mixer being used and they want to get involved. Secondly, the resurgence of vinyl in both general life and as a format for DJing is causing people to seek out quality analog sound for their whole signal chain. And I also feel like for many DJs, modern DJ kit is getting just a bit too hectic. With lights and buttons and stuff everywhere, it can be a touch overwhelming if you just want to mix two tracks together, and Rotaries offer a degree of purity and simplicity you don't find elsewhere. Whatever the reasons, I know the growth in the Rotary and boutique mixer market in general will continue in 2024. I already have more on the way for review. And whilst those videos will never do the same kind of numbers as, say, one on a new Pioneer DJ controller, I'm going to continue to make them, as I believe those artisan, smaller manufacturers absolutely deserve the coverage. On the subject of Pioneer DJ, they went in pretty hard this year. Going in chronological order, their first big release was the DJM-A9. It was intended to replace the aging DJM-900 Nexus 2, and it certainly did that. It does have some cool new features, but on the whole you can tell it was designed to feel like a smooth continuation of the company's club mixer line, and was therefore quite safe. That meant it didn't get my creative juices flowing in quite the same way as the DJM-V10 did, but it fulfills its role perfectly, and I've been very happy on the few occasions I've encountered an A9 at my gigs this year. Next came the OPUS Quad, and that was entirely the opposite of safe, being the boldest product I think Pioneer DJ has released in many years. With its entirely new look and different workflows, it was always going to divide opinion, and it certainly did. Whilst I was absolutely not a fan of the aesthetics of the unit, many DJs truly loved the styling, and I heard from my friends in retail that it just flew off the shelves. In terms of functionality, I did appreciate seeing the company trying out some new things, and there are a number of features in the OPUS that I'd like to see make their way to the company's club gear in the future. Following that, we got the DDJ-FLX10, the successor to the wildly popular DDJ-1000 and 1000 SRT. For me, this was the first controller from them which really combined rekordbox and Serato support without too many compromises, and has rightly proven to be a highly regarded and popular device in the months since. It was also the first piece of Pioneer DJ hardware which incorporated part separation, which is what they call stems in rekordbox, and whilst their implementation in the software definitely still needs some work, it was a good step in the right direction. I'm hoping they can work on that next year. In June, the company debuted the ability to use streaming music on their flagship media players, the CDJ3000s. At this point, it's still for Beatport only, and although I'd still love to see Beatsource in there sooner rather than later as well, there's no doubt that the implementation is reliable and it works very nicely. I've used it loads myself in the back half of this year. August saw the release of two new Pioneer DJ products. The DDJ-REV5 filled a gap in the Rev lineup between the 1 and the 7, offering a battle-style layout but with full-size CDJ-style jog wheels. Although I'm generally a spinning platter guy, so would always plump for a Rev7 when given the choice, the Rev5 has proven to be very popular with those who want that battle feel from the mixer, but with static platters, and it's a fair bit more affordable too. The last Pioneer DJ release of the year was my favourite, the PLX-CRSS12 turntable. A true hybrid, it offers superb performance as a regular analog turntable, and also, thanks to the really innovative Magvel clamp, also performs excellently as a digital deck for Serato and rekordbox. The downsides are less about the product itself and more about market conditions. They're a fair bit more expensive than a regular Pro turntable, and that means that many venues might well turn their noses up at installing them. And most of the venues I play at which have tables are still running 20-year-old 1200s anyway, so I'd still need to own phase regardless. But if I was in a position to be able to spec out my own tech rider, they would absolutely be on there. The Cross 12s were definitely a contender for my product of the year, as was this next device, the DJ Control Inpulse T7 from Hercules. It came out of nowhere to completely steal the show at NAMM, and although it took a while to hit the shelves, when it did, the excitement had not dissipated at all. Designed for both Serato and the company's own Juiced software, the T7 brought spinning platters to a previously unheard of price point, well under $1,000. There were some doubts about those platters being belt drive as they are, but in reality they're so small and light, being only 7 inches in size, you'd never even realise if you didn't know. The suite of controls is spot on, and I especially like how they've implemented stems on the unit. The only letdown was the stock faders, which just aren't ideal for the kind of cutting and scratching which the rest of the T7 lends itself to. But thankfully there are upgrade options. Audio Innovate released a drop-in solution which replaces all 3 faders with inner faders, and in recent weeks Hercules have released their own premium fader kit too, which I'll be reviewing soon. I've used the T7 for numerous gigs in the months since I reviewed it, and it's continued to impress me, performing really well whilst also being very portable, reliable and crucially fun. So whilst that was also up there as potentially my product of the year, in the end there could only be one winner of that title. Step forward, the Reloop FLUX. It was not much longer than a year after I put out my impassioned plea on behalf of the DJ community for a manufacturer to bring out a new audio interface for Serato when the FLUX arrived in my hands. By the start of 2022, all the previous interfaces for Serato DJ Pro, the Rane boxes, the Denon DS1, were either no longer supported or discontinued. And that posed a real problem for many DJs, as although mixers with built-in interfaces which support Serato are more common than ever, they still aren't ubiquitous, and there will often be occasions when a separate interface is required. The thing about the FLUX is that not only did Reloop provide the basics of what was needed, but they also went much further, delivering a 3-channel box to allow 3 decks or 2 decks and recording, USB-C power delivery and a USB hub. The build quality and sound quality are superb too. The only small disappointment was that, like so many products in recent years, it took a while to get into DJ's hands. I only managed to pick up my own about a month ago, but since then it's truly made my life a lot easier, allowing me to use analog mixers with Serato with zero fuss whenever I like. Overall, it's a fantastic product and an essential addition to the Serato ecosystem. Whatever ends up happening with Serato in a business sense in the coming months, it's great to know that such a crucial staple device will be available and usable for years to come. Bravo, Reloop. Bravo. So there you go, a look back at the year 2023 in the world of DJ tech and a glance forward to next year as well. Now, of course, all these big industry power play moves, we just don't know how that's all going to pan out at the moment. It's impossible to see that with any clarity. I will be going to the NAMM show at the end of January, so hopefully I'll be able to take the temperature of people within the industry at that point and see how they're feeling about it all. It may be that nothing much happens for a while. It may be that stuff happens very quickly. We just don't know, but I'd love to hear your thoughts about all this industry drama down in the comments. Let us know how you feel. Are you optimistic, pessimistic? Yeah, just sound off in those comments below. As for my product of the year, if you are a regular viewer of the channel, you knew it was coming, right? The Reloop FLUX, they absolutely nailed this thing. Not only did they deliver what I and a lot of the community were asking for, but they went above and beyond, brought us a really feature-packed, really well-made and great sounding interface. So big thanks to Reloop for making that happen. They really have made my life a bit easier as a DJ with this product this year, and I'm very glad I finally got one of my own as well. This is the last episode of 2023, so on behalf of everyone at Beatsource, DJcity, and myself, I'd really like to thank you for your continued support of this series. Your views, your clicks, your shares, your likes, your comments, they really do make a difference and they truly are appreciated. I hope you all have a great holiday period, a restful time, and I hope you get to reconnect with family, etc. That's always important at this time of year. And then I hope you all smash your New Year's Eve gigs completely to bits. Thanks once again for watching today. Please make sure you subscribe to the channel and you click on that notification bell so you get notified anytime there's a new video from myself or the rest of the team. Until next year, I'll see you soon.